Gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus again. You know, environment plays a major influence on the lives of people. Let me tell you what. I have been taught by humankind and by spirit that every people want to live in peace, and they want to be prosperous, and they want to have a joyous life, happy life. And they would like to see their dreams come true. And in that would mean that whatever is essential for their survival is guaranteed, is as assured as the oxygen that they're breathing. As long as there's oxygen in the air and they're gonna breathe. And the other things for survival to them should be just as assured as that. If that power to have that oxygen is in the hands of the spirit world and not in our hands, and it is consistent, then those things that are essential for our survival that are in our hands, like food and clothing and shelter and education and healthcare, those are in our hands, and it should be just as consistent as the oxygen we breathe. If that power is committed to do its part, not to just give us oxygen certain days of the week or to certain people, but to everyone, then those other things we should be just as diligent. And so that's what my whole campaign is about. And would you believe that having gone out here for years and years and years and years and years and talked about this as a way of life for we as American people, for we who say we have connection with the outside power, spiritual power, to be able to lift up that power in our lives by being able to be the example, by being able to lead the way. And that's not happening. Oh, that's not happening. And that kind of confuses me. I know it does you as well. To have the churches packed, to have, not all churches, now many of them have kind of fallen in membership, but many of them have become mega churches. And that is in membership, that's in contributions, that's in tithes and offerings, that's in access. And look at our society. It's altogether different than what we say we are about. Now, what is that evidence of? That is evidence that we are faking it. I'm going to say you are faking it. I'm not faking it anymore. Now, on the one hand, the oxygen is there. On the other hand, we have people starving. We have people going through all kinds of changes. We have crime and violence. We have all these things that exist in a place where people say they're connected. Now, does that sound true to you? Does that sound true to you? I don't care how much tithes you pay, how many songs you sing, how many scriptures you remember, and how you can talk on those scriptures. It doesn't mean a hill of beans. Look at our nation. Look at our world. Look at me begging you to allow this time for us to come together and take advantage of it and make a change, a real change in the world. I'm begging you for us to come together. And are you paying any attention to me? Heck no. But you're still talking about your love for God, the power in you. Let me tell you something. You can fool one another, but my friends, you cannot fool God. Let me tell you, one of the easiest ways to see how far people will go in their lives is to get married. You know, it's one thing to just be common law. just come together and stay together and can't find any reason to separate. I don't care what you go through. You can't find any reason to separate. You find out that this is your choice and you'd rather be there through all thick and through thin and whatever comes, and you do. But this thing about the legalistic stuff, talking about marriage, one of the greatest and biggest fake things that can ever be perpetrated against a society. Stand before witnesses, and before the Spirit, the Almighty living God, and take these vows about what it means and your commitment to it. And out of all of the people that do that says those things, over half of them jump ship. And out of the other remaining half of those, they might not jump ship, but they can't stand each other. Now there are a few, and I mean a very few, that really care. There are very few that really care. But the rest of them is nothing but junk. And you stood out there before the world and told God that lie. And you thought God believed that, huh? You think when you said that God believed you. No, my friends, that's your thought. God knew better. And so when you start talking about you love God and all of that, you just talking to yourselves. You're talking to one another. You're not talking to God, because God ain't buying that bull. It ain't nothing but straight up bull. You see, if you had any connection with God, you would be just as committed to making sure that every human being have the necessities for survival in this earth, in these bodies at this time. They would have the assurance of all of those essentials for survival as they have in the assurance of the oxygen in the air that they breathe. Why? Because it's God. And God is not going to have it any other way. And jivers will. People who put it together and just do it don't care for whatever their reasoning is. And there are those who jive, who say they're not, but go all the way. They are just like the Republicans who used to talk against Trump. And now when Trump made a decision that they say they couldn't stand and they were all against, you see them still edging the way of Trump, edging the way of Trump. And that's the way you are, the people who say you love God. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, the environment, as beautiful as I know life can be, and I know when I stand before you and make that proposal to you, you look at me and you laugh at me like I am a stupid fool, because you have accepted the fact that if you want any food, any clothing, any shelter, any education, you got to have some money. And that means you got to be working for the man, not God, not for one another, but for the man. Using what God has given all of us, doing it for us, but getting engaged with somebody with some money who takes control over everything we do. And now we say we are loving God, but we're going along with the things that brings her out. All this cancer. No, God ain't buying that stuff. And you know, well, if you were serious about God, you would know God is not buying that stuff, because you wouldn't buy it. If you were serious about God, you wouldn't buy it. And you'd stand up, not just against the way the world is, but you stand up for what is so much better. There's nothing better than every human being, every American, every Mexican, every Russian, every North Korean, everybody. There's nothing better than their dreams coming true. There's nothing better, can't be nothing better than for them, all of us, to live in peace. Nothing better for all of us to be prosperous. Nothing better than for all of our lives to be joyous. No need to lie, to cheat, to sin. Nothing better than that. And all we got to do is treat others like we want to be treated. And the environment got me almost embarrassed to stand before you and say that. Because you're so far away from that. So far away from that till I look stupid to you. I look plain stupid to you. Because all you can see is money as the answer. All you can see is money. I tell you, my friends, God didn't make money. God had no need for money. God knew you going to need some food. So what did he do? He put food in the earth. He put a hunger inside of you that needs to be met. And you started seeking out to meet that. And that was food. So you worked, you extended your hands and took from the earth the fruit and the vegetables, and you ate them. You did that. You did that for your housing. You did that for your everything. But as your numbers grew, you split up the work. And each one did what they loved doing. And now all you had to do was part of it. Each one doing part of it to create the whole. The whole that belongs to all of you because you created it. And now it belongs to you to take from it what you need, what you want, what you desire. This is the way of the oxygen that's in the air. And yet, I'm a fool amongst you. But you know what? In spite of that, I'm still sticking to God. Yes, God is the answer. Republicans are not, Democrats are not, men are not, women are not, Americans are not, and others are not. It's all about God. And he or she who recognizes that and is able to engage the people in a persuasive manner to try God, these and these alone will begin to see the beauty of all of the godliness. And those who, as individuals, have walked into the path of truth before they would take part in a system that is like any system on the face of the earth. Oh yes, they used to be a part of it, but now their eyes have been opened. And before they can give life, give energy to that system, they'd be killed like Jesus was. They'd be killed like Gandhi was. They'd be killed like Martin Luther King was. They'd be killed like Malcolm X was. They'd be killed perhaps like the Kennedy brothers. I'm not sure, but they were killed. They'd be killed like the people who were walking along with these leaders who knew that they were going to be killed. And yet these got killed because they were on the path and they were willing. These are the kind of people that can walk into heaven because they know the stuff for which heaven is made of. Heaven is made of the real stuff, 100%. No 99 and a half. Heaven is made out of people who will not accept bull. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all we are accepting here in Minnesota. All that we are accepting here in the United States of America. All that we are accepting here on the planet of the earth is straight up bull. Straight up. Now I got a lot of members, family members who are in the clergy. I got a lot of friends who are in the clergy. And they think, they are convinced that they are doing God's business. Because they are following the word. They read the scripture. They are convinced that they're doing God's business. And yet, none of them can come on this side of the fence and stand up for God. They wallowing in that boat with the world. Wallowing in that boat with the world. And what are they doing? Are they drawing people out of the world to Christ? And if they are, to what degree are they drawing them? To a church? To be in a membership? To go along, be complacent with what's going on in the world? Because they're definitely not teaching you against it. They're definitely not teaching you to stand up against it. They are definitely not telling you that God's way is the best way. Because they don't know what God's way is. They don't know what God's way is. They tell you thou shalt not steal. Did they tell you they weren't just talking to the individual, they were talking to the state? If the state doesn't steal, the individual has no reason to steal. Thou shalt not kill. Everybody looking at the individual. They talking to the state. Thou shalt not kill. Ain't no killing going on out there. You set an example. So, I know it's easier to put your disgust on a single individual. Because if you put it on the big old state, this great big old state, ooh, how can you have some effect? So you come down on the little old guy, where it really don't matter what you're doing. So why don't all you guys who find it so easy to come down on the little guy come together? And you might find out that you don't even have to attack the state. Because when you look at the state, all you're going to see is you. Which means if you change, the state change. So, I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that, yeah, I asked the people of the state of Minnesota to write my name in for change, for system change. Oh, we're going to use the law to create what we have determined is essential for us now. That's what I need to do, and that's to take that message to the rest of the country. Given the platform as a senator from the state of Minnesota makes it a little bit easier to achieve that. I'm sure when the people get a chance to hear what I'm really saying and get a chance to get a taste of it, they will go for it like they'll go for it. And if I get knocked off, because it's really good and for some strange reason the powers that be don't want it to be, any of you can take up the mantle because it's so simple. It's nothing that you had to go to school to become a genius for. No. All you had to do is have the right spirit. Have the right spirit, and it's a very simple spirit. It's God if it works for everybody. You leave out one individual, one soul, and it's not God. God's oxygen works for everybody and so everything that must be the same for everybody. Anytime you take something out of it, now you can add to it if it's working for everybody. If it's working for everybody. You can't add to it and it's working for some and not everybody. You got to figure out where it works for everybody or it ain't God. So I'm just asking America to try God. Give God a shot. You're giving everybody else a shot. Try God. My God. Bye-bye.